What's going on, guys? Victor here. I got these lobster on the fillet table today. Now I'm going to show you guys a couple of different ways to clean and process lobster depending on what you want to do with your lobster, whether you want to make it into a soup, grilled lobster tails, and a lot of people don't know that there's actually a bunch of different ways. When you usually go out to a restaurant, you most likely see a lobster tail sitting on the ice there or in the grocery store. But to get there, you can do one of two things. A lot of people will just rip the tail like this. They'll hold the tail and the head and they'll go like this over the water because they do have a lot of guts. But what happens is when you tear it like this, is your head meat is still attached in the head. The tail meat, the tail muscle protrudes into the head, and when you tear it, you're losing some of that. So we're gonna go ahead and set this guy on the side, and I'm gonna show you a way to get a little bit more yield on your tail. So we're gonna get another lobster over here. We're gonna get this guy. And what you can do is, you can stick a knife in there. This is a Dexter 6-inch boning knife. I really like this knife. And actually, Dexter's finally set me up with a coupon code so you guys can now save 20% off any Dexter knife on dexteroutdoors.com. You guys can use my code Landshark, which I will have linked in the description box below. So, to get more of this head meat, we're just gonna stick our knife in there. And I'm just gonna work it around. I'm gonna swivel around the head and the tail. And it's really easy. So essentially we're separating the tail muscle from within the head rather than tearing it. So now you see this stuff right here, this is what you would normally rip off and leave in the head. And you see how there's not as much meat left in the head as opposed to this guy. So a lot of people will complain and say, don't tear the lobster tail, because you can see on the right hand side, this is from tearing, this is without tearing. It's completely up to you. You don't lose that much, but if you want the most bang for your buck, I would definitely go ahead and use the knife method. Now I wanted to show you guys some different things you guys can do with a lobster carcass. Now that you got your tail, you have to do one more thing before you can go ahead and eat this, and that is, this is a lobster's antennas. This is what he's going around sensing things with, fending off predators with, and this is your telltale sign when you're diving underwater if there's a lobster under a rock. What you can do is, you just rip off this piece of antenna, and it's got backward facing spines, and you can stick it in its anal opening right here, about halfway, and then you pull out, and you get his intestinal tract. No matter what way you clean a lobster, you gotta remove this intestinal tract, because I don't know about you, but I do not want this on my dinner plate. So we got that tail, now we're gonna do this tail, and it's the exact same thing, just right into the opening. They sell tools, and we've never used them before. We always use antennas, and you know, why use a tool when nature gives you its own tool? And it just pulls right out. See? That's all guts. You do not want to eat that. Now we have our two lobster tails. You have heads. There is meat in these legs. A lot of people don't eat them. We oftentimes don't eat them unless we're going to make a soup or something. Brooke's actually going to grill some tonight, so I'm going to show you guys that in a second. But you can go ahead and rip these legs off and cook them. You can boil them. You can take a rolling pin, squeeze the meat out, or you can just take a fork and just break them open. And you can also use the head to make a really good base for a soup or lobster bisque. I've done that in the past. I've made a video on that. So I'm going to set these aside here, and I'm going to show you guys a third way to make, well, to process your lobster. So it is actually opening day of lobster season, and Brooke tore these guys apart, and all she did is, you take a knife, you have them belly side up, and it's, you know, self-explanatory. You just take your knife, you run it down one way, the other way to the head, you make a nice little opening. And so if you wanted to do a stuffed lobster, or if you wanted to cook a whole lobster on the grill like she's doing, you can put them straight down on the grill, get those nice grill marks, and it's a nice presentation, you know. So that is your third and final way that I can think of. You can do the traditional, just the tail. You can stick your knife in the head, get all of the head meat. You can eat another good thing you guys can eat on the lobster, which I forgot to mention, is these right here. These are the knuckles of the lobster. And there is meat inside here, and it's really good. But we generally don't eat lobster whole or eat the legs or the knuckles unless they get bigger, because it's kind of a lot of effort for very little yield. So hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you guys are interested in the knife I used today or want to save 20% on any Dexter knife, you guys can check them out in the description box below or at dexteroutdoors.com. Once again, 20% off, and you guys can use my code Landshark, which I think is pretty cool that they've allowed me to pass that savings on to you guys. So thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in that next one.